It's time for good energy, and I'm Dr. Julie, and welcome to Bodyful Day 204. We are talking about joy and the senses, and today we're talking about the sense of taste. So join me as we talk about how food can bring joy, and in not always the most obvious manner. All right, so let's start with our breathing. Take a deep breath in and release. On this next deep breath in, go ahead, breathe in, expand in the belly, expand in the chest, expand all the way up into your head, and tuck your tailbone and release. And I see something very white back there. It's my watering can. Think about something that you enjoy eating, something that brings you joy, and breathe into the thought of that. Take a deep breath in and release. Mine was the fact that every single day that since I've had this plant, I come out and I have a piece of mint. I'll show you the mint plant later. I have a piece of mint from this, a leaf of mint from this plant every single day before I sit down and do this video. And it brings me immense joy. I was like, oh, I get to shoot a video and I get to have some mint. I'm gonna have to figure out how to transition it inside. Right now, it looks like it might have some aphids, so I've got to clean it off before I bring it indoors, because otherwise I will have aphids in my house. All right. We are talking about the sense of taste. This is day number 2 in joy. We're talking about how to use our senses to activate joy. Yesterday we talked about the surprise of sparkle and color and bits of flash and fluff that make us smile. Seeing somebody put out Christmas decorations the day after Halloween, we all grimace. Oh my gosh, she's already got her Christmas decorations out. But in the back of our head, we're still a little smirky. We're like, well, that would be fun, but we don't do that. All right, so today we're moving on to the sense of taste. And when we think about any of these things, we have to go back and remember that in our senses, we have sensation and we have perception. Sensation being, oh, mosquitoes again. Sensation being the bottom up, the neurology, the firing patterns, and perception being the top down. How do I look at those sensory information and apply an emotion to it? And taste is no different. Taste is the molecules of the food that you're eating distributing themselves in a chemical signature that is mixed with a little bit of sense of smell, and that is registered in your brain as taste. But then your brain says, hey, that chemical signature is linked with hanging out at grandma's house, and that was an exciting time, or it's linked with going to the fair, or it's linked to the last time I had a really bad flu and threw up. That is the top-down component. And so joy is, when we talk about joy in the sense of taste, it is contextual. The chemical signature that is sent from your tongue to your brain does not tell you whether or not it's joyful. It does tell you whether or not it's needed by your body, if you paid attention. But it doesn't tell you whether or not it's joyful. The joy component comes in from the top down, and there may be a little bit of bottom up. For example, the reason why we eat carbs when we don't sleep very well is that carbs release serotonin in the gut, and the serotonin tells us we can at least function through this. And it gets us some good energy in. So even though you know that that half a box of Chips Ahoy cookies is not appropriate, it's still there for a reason, and it's still bringing you joy in the neurochemical sense. It's still giving you good energy in, at the same time it's stressing your body, but it's giving you that little extra oomph that makes it okay to make it through the day. So when we talk about the sense of taste bringing us joy, it really does have to do with your past experiences. But the cool thing I find about the sense of taste is that sometimes bodies already know what tastes are going to make them feel good. So in my work, I do a lot of energy work to help people with their nutrition, help people with things that they come up in with, coughs, skin rashes. We look at foods that can help them heal. And one of the most hilarious things that happens, and it inevitably happens once a week, that I put together a protocol and I say, well, you need this. And they look at me and they say, huh, I just bought a whole bunch of that yesterday. And it's like, yes, you did. Of course you did. Because the body already knew that it needed it. The body already knew that whatever you bought was going to bring you joy. And in fact, and joy in the terms of healing, because healing is also joyful. You know that. The joy of, this is going to be a little bizarre, but the joy of picking the scab off when it's finally all fallen off. You're like, hey, it's gone. I don't have a scab there anymore. The joy of pulling on, that pair of pants that you haven't worn in a while. The joy of being able to stay up past 8 o'clock at night. And the cool thing about taste is that taste can get you to that joy. But again, it's top down. But the fact that people are getting things, putting things in their grocery cart that they just think are good, and not knowing that not only are they good for them and they taste good, they're also good at healing energy. It always blows my mind, and I love it. So when we talk about tastes bringing you joy, you can look at the bottom-up component and say, well, what chemical signature feels good to me and makes me happy? But understand that most of the time what that chemical signature is also encoded with additional top-down information. So that really good rye bread recipe that Grandma has. For me, it would be lefse. Lefse with sugar and butter is just joyful because it carries all sorts of other emotions with it. And yes, lefse, flour and floured potatoes and lard is probably a stressor to my system, along with extra butter and sugar. Yeah, physically it's probably a stressor, but as long as I don't overindulge in lefse, there is so much good energy in being provided by that taste experience, because it's activating the pleasure centers in my brain, because it's activating really good emotions of having Grandma make lefse or my mother make lefse. We have to balance the good and the bad. But the important thing is that taste and what brings you joy as taste is individual. So you may not like my 11-year-old hates funnel cakes. He doesn't like funnel cakes because he ate too many and then went on too many rides. Again, top down, the flavor profile of funnel cakes, even though that in and of itself could be joyful to anybody else, is a stressor to him because of the experience that he had with it. So learned taste aversions, acquired taste aversions, acquired taste positivity, I guess would be another way. So the opposite of aversion is seeking. Taste seeking would be, acquired taste seeking would be something that not only gives you emotionally good energy in, but also gives you physically good energy in. So joy with flavor, joy with taste is really more about that top down, but we can't deny the fact that sometimes we grab things and we don't know why. But when we eat them, we're reminded that we feel really good when we eat them. So pay attention to what your brain, what your mind draws you to, because usually that's not just good emotional energy, and that's usually good nutritional energy in. All right, let's finish this off. Take a deep breath in and release. Join me here tomorrow and we'll talk about more senses and how to get joy in. Take care.